DFG here, getting flight. Hey guys, I don't know if this is going to become habit forming for me or not, um, but if you guys remember back a while ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I shared a dream with you that I had, and I was trying to get a better understanding prophetically what was Yah, or the Ruach trying to tell me, if speaking to me at all. Um, and to this moment, I'm still not clear, other than I knew it was a warning, that particular dream. Um, well, here I am again. And yes, I am going to share with you another dream. Then I'm going to back it up, guys, as you know, with our book, just to give you some perspective on why my perspective about this particular dream exists. Okay? But before that, let me kind of talk to you about what I dreamt. Um, I went to bed, and immediately after falling asleep, I saw in a vision, I saw this woman, and she was in this room. Get chills just now saying that. I saw this woman, in a room, and it was a white room with four walls. And when I walked into the room, I entered into the room, and I could smell this odor. And this odor was almost the smell of what I would assume to be, rotting corpse. Now, I've never been around a dead corpse before, one that has not been, processed, embalmed. I've never been around a corpse that was just found at a point where it would start to decay and it would have an odor. I've smelled animals, but I've never been around a human corpse. But in this dream, it was the smell of human corpses. And the lady had her back towards me. But I could see, the shape of her. I could see flies flying all around. And I could smell the strong, pungent odor. And the odor seemed as though it was coming from her, but it was in the entire room. And I saw these flies flying all over the place. And I could only conclude that these flies were being attracted to this particular woman, but they were not on her. They were just all over the place. Not so dense that you could not see. I mean, you could see clearly. It was a bright light in the room. But she was not looking at me. She was looking the other way. And so as I entered the room and I came a little closer to her, her head turned around. And it was interesting. When she turned around, she looked at me. And when she looked at me, I could see again, it was the body still turned one way, but the head looking back at me. And I noticed her body, she was probably, it seems in the dream, I'm going to say 5 feet tall, white female. And, her, she wasn't a big woman. She was a fairly decent shaped woman, but had a little, I don't know, when someone is in the second or third month of their pregnancy, they have that little small little pouch. Why I noticed that, I can't tell you. You follow me? But I do remember that distinctly, in the dream. And she looked back at me and she said, get out of here. You're not supposed to be here. This is not the place for you. And I remember just stepping back and, and being somewhat afraid, because it's almost like she had read my mind, that she was able to perceive that I was looking at her. And again, she turned her head, looked at me and said, get out of here. You're not supposed to be in here. You're not supposed to be here. And then I hurry up and I exited out of a door. Not the door I entered in, but it appeared to be another door, I guess like a side door. And I remember, and I woke up, and I remember not wanting to go immediately back to sleep because I didn't want to go back there. I didn't want to go back there. I was somehow intimidated going back into the dream. And then I'd say, well, maybe if I think about something else. So I put something else on my mind and, and went back, to bed. And that was, the dream did not, reoccur. Again, the flies, the smell of death, a female, what appeared to be a new birth happening, or at least a new pregnancy happening. I don't know, guys. I know it has significance. I know it has something to do with, maybe, something ending. something, maybe our time ending. Why it was a woman? That part is strange to me. Why a woman would be the would be the form. You know what I'm saying? That would cause, that would speak to me to turn back and look at me. And another thing I'll say, her face wasn't distorted. I mean, I want to say she had the face of death, but it wasn't the face that we know as death. It wasn't like Skeletor or decaying, anything like that. Her face was full face. But when she looked at me, her eyes were focused, and she was very clear and very direct. Very, you don't belong here. You need to get out of here now. And again, I left, so I don't know. But some type of warning, yes. Was it a warning to me? Possible. I don't know. But it had nothing to do with anything that, in the natural. Because sometimes people say, well, maybe you need to, I don't know, change jobs or something like that. It wasn't any that kind of meaning. It was a meaning that something bad, in my opinion, was coming. And that if I wanted to not be a part of it, then I needed to make sure that I put myself in a position where I would not be affected, because it had no particular intention for me. And me could mean many others, but she was definitely talking to me in that dream. Okay? So take it, reflect on it, do what you will with it, or nothing. But I just wanted to share it with you. Okay? That leads me over to the book. And I'm going to just share this particular verse of scripture came to me years ago. Never figures, right? And I remember it was the first time that I truly understood the pull on Yah, the pull on my life from Yah. Before that, I was Catholic, and I was going through all of the rituals. I shouldn't say rituals. Going through the formalities. That's the right word, not rituals. Showing up for church on Sundays for 1 hour, doing the commitment. Just form of godliness, unfortunately. That's what it was. At least that's what it was for me. And had no real relationship, but deep in my heart, always knowing that I needed to have one. But I figured, I guess going through the process would keep me close enough, I guess, so I wasn't so far out. But it wasn't working for me. I was headed down a dead end road, and I knew it. And I knew if something didn't change in my life, it was going to end bad long before, if anything good would have come from it. And I remember a particular night, just in reflection, and it came to me. And I will tell you that it was the Ruach speaking to me. And the Ruach, if you guys know who I'm talking to, you guys who have a relationship with Yahuwah, Yeshua, you know the voice of the Most High. You know you can hear the voice. It's a tangible voice, but it's not tangible outside of your mind. In other words, someone sitting next to you is not going to hear that. It's not going to hear what's going on. But those of you who know, that voice is crystal clear, and that voice is very direct, and you know that voice is a voice, coming down from wherever the Most High exists, or wherever His throne exists. And you know that it's a distinct voice, it's a clear voice, and you don't mistake it for anything else. Well, that voice came to me and gave me an option. It told me, look, you can continue down the path that you're going in, and you'll have some success, but it's going to end bad for you, or you can stop right now, you know what I'm saying, and come to me. And at that time, I chose to come to the Most High. Now, over the years, I've had my ups and downs. I will not lie. Sometimes I've been close enough to touch the Most High, spiritually speaking, and sometimes far enough to wonder if I'm about to just fall off the cliff and it's all going to end for me. So I've had that, valley of the shadow of death experience that David talks about in the 23rd Psalms. But I was always also been protected up to this point by the Spirit. You know what I'm saying? He says He prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. You know what I'm saying? And He has prepared a table for me many, many times. Our cup runneth over. In other words, He showed me mercy and showed me grace when I probably did not deserve it. I didn't deserve it. But His mercy and grace was sufficient. And so I say that in preparing you for what I'm going to read, because this is a rereading of something that was my conversion. And I'm not reading it to you for you to be converted. I'm reading to you to understand, and maybe there's somehow in my ruach, I believe there's a connection between that dream and what I'm about to share. So we'll be fast. It's 2 Timothy chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 1. Say, know this also, in the last days, perilous times shall come. Perilous means times like never before. Very, very dangerous times will come. For men, get this, guys, shall be lovers of their own selves. And I believe in this case, well, I don't. I think it means literally men shall be lovers of their own selves. Covetousness, boasters, proud, blasphemers. I don't believe in God. There ain't no God. You're dumb. Whatever. You know things they say, even about, our book. Blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Think about unthankful and unholy. Do we live in a world, or do you live among people right now that are unthankful, unholy? And unholy simply means that they have no sense of morality. Wickedness does not offend them. All right? Without natural affection. It's going on reading chapter 3. They won't have natural affection. Truce breakers. In other words, they don't keep their word. False accusers. They lie. Contentment. They're never satisfied. They always, no matter what happens, they're anxious. They always seem like they don't know how to be peaceful. Angry. Here it says fierce, but easily angered. Despisers of those that are good. In other words, people who are trying to do the right thing, now they get put down, they get mocked. Traitors. In other words, they're backstabbers. Traitors, you can't trust them. Heady means arrogant. High-minded means very, very prideful. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahuwah. And this goes on one more step and say, having a form of godliness. These people who run into these synagogues, these churches, into these temples, these mosques, and they come out there just as wicked as they were when they went in there. And that's what it means by a form of godliness. In other words, they look like they're religious. They look like they're honorable people. That they're believers. But he says, but they deny the power thereof. And he says, from such turn away. In other words, we would call those people hypocrites. Now, we have to be careful with that, because I remember there were these preachers, and you just show you how crooked and wicked they were. Back in the day, they would talk about any hypocrites in the church, and they would just they laugh about it and say, they hypocrites too, and that kind of silliness. And so everybody would exhale and say, whew, I'm glad we all hypocrites. Lying devils. You're not supposed to be a hypocrite, guys. You're supposed to do what you say and say what you're going to do, and nothing between. It goes on to say, for these are the sort that creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with many, many lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And what is truth? Yahuwah told us, Yeshua said, what is truth? He said, my word is truth. He said, never able to come to the knowledge of the word, never able to comprehend the word and apply the word to their lives. Never able to do it. He said that in the last days, these things would happen. Again, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of Elohim. He said, when you come around that, turn away. But it is interesting. And if you take that, the silly women aspect of it, and I don't mean this as disrespect to women. I didn't write this. I'm just quoting it. You can find it for yourself. 2 Timothy chapter 3, and you're going to find that verse 6. And, a silly woman, I'm sure, is a woman without discretion. A woman that has no self-respect. A woman that will do anything at any place and any time. We see them all the time. Half naked, vulgar, men are wicked too. I'm not excusing them. But he said silly women in this, but it talked about these other men too. Sinful men, wicked men. It brought them into the conversation as well. It's calling everyone out. I just hope it's not me. And surely, I believe that you hope it isn't you. But that's the dream, that's the message, that's the word. That's it. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate you. If you have kids at home or older kids at home, share this video with them. Maybe they'll glean something from it, okay? All right, guys. Love you. Talk to you next time.